Republicans are sore losers. And even when they're in the lead, even when they're winning, they're sore losers. I mean, we saw this in like 2016 or whatever when Donald Trump won, but he was like, I should have won California too. You weren't going to win California. There's no way that Donald Trump, you're going to win California. But he thinks he should have won every state. But he's a dumbass. But North Carolina Senate voted to override Governor Roy Cooper's veto of a bill that would strip away powers from the governor, attorney general, and other offices that Democrats won election to this year. The Republican-led chamber voted 30-19 with no debate to override the Democratic governor's veto. Democratic lawmakers previously gave lengthy speeches denouncing the proposal last month during the original vote, which was also interrupted by protests. Another veto override must still pass the GOP-led House before the measures are enacted. That vote could be tougher because 3 House Republicans joined all Democrats in voting against that bill. The main potential impact of the bill is the balance of power in state government. It was originally framed as a bill intended to provide relief aid to victims of Hurricane Helene. The bill seeks to transfer $277 million from a general state savings fund to Helene's specific savings fund, while ordering that much of it remain unspent for the moment. Cooper has pressed lawmakers to approve a new $3.9 billion relief package, but they've so far approved less than $1 billion in aid. Critics say the bill won't do nearly enough relief, and all the Republicans who objected to the bill when it moved through the legislature were from districts in western North Carolina that were harmed by Helene. Power shift in executive and judicial branches. Cooper has said the changes in the bill would change the balance of power in the state would be unconstitutional. Other critics said it's nothing more than a rejection of the will of the people by the politicians upset that their party lost key races in this year's election. Republican legislative leaders, on the other hand, have broadly said that they think the changes will help improve state government. The bill would move power over elections administration in North Carolina from the governor's office to the state auditor, shifting control of the state board of elections from Democratic Party to Republican Party. Taking away the governor's power over the state board of elections has been a main priority of GOP lawmakers for nearly a decade. Other proposals have been struck down as unconstitutional. One was also rejected by voters when proposed as a constitutional amendment. This new plan involving the auditor reflects an effort by Republicans to find a new strategy that might fare better in court. The bill would also strip numerous duties and powers away from the Attorney General, Jeff Jackson, who's incoming, a Democrat who defeated Republican in this year's election. My mission as Attorney General is to stand up for all people, Jackson told WRAL when the bill was first introduced. My team and I will overcome any obstacle to accomplish that mission. If the bill passes, Jackson would be banned from arguing in court that anything the legislature has done is unconstitutional. He's also banned from taking stances in court that Republican legislative leaders disagree with. He'd be banned from intervening in any outside lawsuits. He'd be banned from automatically being allowed to intervene on behalf of customers of the state's utility commission, which in addition to other duties handles requests by Duke Energy and other utility companies to increase their rates and pay. Utilities Commission currently has a 5-member board with a majority appointed by the governor. The bill would give Republicans a majority of seats on the board instead. The bill contains a number of other changes. It would create new judicial positions to be appointed by the legislature instead of being elected like most judgeships in North Carolina. Lawmakers began it last year to make sure that more Republican judges are in office around the state. It would eliminate Wake County judicial seat held by Judge Brian Collins, a Democrat who ruled against GOP lawmakers in 2018 over gerrymandering and voter ID requirements. It would make the State Highway Patrol an independent agency, giving legislature the ability to vote down Governor-elect Josh Stein's pick to run the agency. Lawmakers did the same thing with the State Bureau of Investigation last year. It would eliminate the State Energy Policy Council and the Task Force for Safer Schools, each of which, again, as we said earlier, Republicans don't care about safe schools or safe children, each of which was chaired by state leaders who are currently Republicans, but which Democrats won election for this year. Lieutenant Governor and State Superintendent of Schools. Voting on the override was delayed Monday as protesters were interfered. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, i.e. the black Nazi, self-described, who serves as president of the chamber, asked the protester be removed, whatever. I don't mind hearing these folks, but I won't tolerate on the floor, and nobody should. Apparently they didn't tolerate you because you lost by a huge margin in that state because they rejected your Nazi butt. The bill is one of several actions Republican leaders proposed in the waning weeks of the 2024 session after voters broke the GOP's veto-proof supermajority in the state house leading into the 2025 season. So basically they were trying to make sure that they can get vetoes in both houses before they lost their supermajority in the House. Now, of course, they still have majorities, probably because of gerrymandering, because they gerrymandered the hell out of the state to make sure that they could keep their majority, but they couldn't gerrymander against the governor, and you have another Democratic governor. All our long-term goals of conservative activists when the last-minute flurry of action in them in this year's lame duck session could indicate Republicans didn't anticipate being able to win any Democratic support for the changes once the new legislature was sworn in next month. There was another one, I think, that was in there. There was an income tax cap amendment that wouldn't lead to any immediate changes. Currently, in North Carolina, individuals pay 4.5% income tax rate and corporations pay 2.5%. Those rates are set to continue dropping over the next few years. There's been similar things compared to the voter ID law. I think there was also another potential piece of legislation that was passed that would basically require if somebody left office like in the middle of a term, like for a judgeship or whatever, the person who the governor would be required to appoint somebody from the same party as the person who the voters last voted for. That may be one thing that I could think maybe sounds like it makes sense, at least, because if the voters voted for an individual to represent that seat, then it's reasonable to suggest that that seat should be held by the same party that the people chose. However, with the state being as gerrymandered as it is, that also gives me pause on that one, because, hey, guess what? If it's gerrymandered, then they've already picked who's going to win those seats. They've already picked whether or not Democrats. So the Democrats aren't going to have the same say. A Democratic voter wouldn't have the same say as a Republican voter might, because of the way that they gerrymander districts in the state and in many other conservative states across the land. Anyway, what do you think about this video? Agree, disagree? Leave your comments below. Remember to like it, share the video with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and as always, have a good day.